Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive deep into the history of the land that would one day be known as Iran. But we're going way, way back. A lot further than you're probably expecting. When you hear Iranian history, I bet names like Cyrus the Great or Darius immediately pop into your head. And sure, those are huge, important figures, but what I want to explore with you today is the idea that the real foundational story of the people in this region, the story that set the stage for all those famous empires, actually started tens of thousands of years earlier, before writing, before kings, back when the only goal for every single person was simply to survive. Okay, let's get into it. So our story doesn't begin with a king or a battle or an empire. It begins with the land itself. This vast, beautiful, high-altitude stage. This is the landscape where everything is about to unfold, long, long before it even had a name.
All right, so to find the real start of this story, we have to rewind the clock past all the kings and empires we know, all the way back to the Stone Age.
So the earliest signs we have of humans on this plateau go back about 100,000 years. And for the next 90,000 years, life was just a cycle, a simple, pretty brutal loop that was all about the seasons and survival. I mean, that is a timescale that's almost impossible to really wrap your head around.
So for this huge stretch of time, people were hunter-gatherers. That means they were always on the move, following herds of animals for food. Their entire world was about finding the next meal and a safe place to sleep, usually in one of the many caves that you can find in the mountainsides of the plateau. Their best tech? Sharp stones. The biggest question of the day wasn't about philosophy or who's in charge. It was, are we the hunters today, or are we the hunt? And then, around 12,000 years ago, after 90 millennia of non-stop wandering, something absolutely incredible happened. Humanity just decided to completely change its entire way of life.
I mean, can you really blame them? After walking for 90,000 years, you can almost hear them collectively saying, you know what? I'm tired. This constant running around is getting old. Let's just try staying in one place for a while.
And that one simple decision, to stay put, it kicked off what we now call the Neolithic Revolution. It was a total paradigm shift. Instead of just chasing food, people started making their own food. They went from being hunter-gatherers to farmers and builders. And for the very first time, they weren't just thinking about today's meal, they were planning for tomorrow, for the next season, for the future.
This brand new lifestyle came with a whole new toolkit. People figured out how to farm crops and domesticate animals. They started building permanent houses, which led to the world's very first villages, laying the groundwork for all the towns and cities to come. Oh, and they invented pottery, which was a complete game changer for storing food and water.
Now, for thousands of years, pretty much everything was made of stone, wood, or bone. But then, probably by complete accident, came another discovery. The realization that some types of stones acted in a very, very strange way. Imagine this. You find a weird kind of greenish rock. You hit it with another stone, but instead of shattering into a million pieces, it just bends. It changes its shape. And then, one day, maybe a piece of it falls into a campfire. You watch as it starts to glow, melts into a shiny liquid, and then cools down into a totally new, solid shape. In that moment, the world changed forever. This was the discovery of copper, and it kicked off a whole new age of technology.
And you know, mastering new materials isn't just about making better tools, it unlocked this incredible explosion of creativity. Pottery, which used to be just for holding stuff, became a canvas for art. It was a new way to tell stories and express beauty, and it just got more and more sophisticated and decorative over time.
And when you look at the pottery from this period, you see a lot of the same designs over and over. I can just picture some potter back then who was absolutely obsessed with drawing goats on every single pot he made. You can just imagine his family, right? Dad, is that another goat? Really? Can't you draw a flower? Just this once? And this progress just kept picking up speed. The next huge leap forward was the invention of bronze. Some brilliant person, somewhere, had the amazing idea to mix that shiny, molten copper with another metal, tin. And by doing that, they created an alloy. Think of it like a new metal recipe. The result was bronze, and it was harder, stronger, and more durable than anything anyone had ever seen before. The Bronze Age had begun.
Bronze really did revolutionize everything.
You see, stronger tools meant you could farm more efficiently. More efficient farming meant more food. More food meant larger populations. And those larger populations meant that simple villages started to grow into the world's first complex cities.
All this new complexity, with trade and bigger populations, led to a new idea: the first unified state to pop up on the plateau. This was a powerful civilization that we know today as Elam.
But Elam wasn't the only game in town. Over in the southeast, another incredible and, in some ways, even more advanced city was absolutely flourishing.
We know it today as Shahr-Sukhtay, which means the burnt city. 5,000 years ago, this place was a bustling metropolis. Archaeologists have found evidence of an advanced sewage system, specialized workshops for all kinds of crafts, complex houses with multiple rooms, and even a board game that looks a lot like backgammon. It was a truly sophisticated society. And the discoveries here are just mind-blowing. I mean, we're talking about incredible innovation in both science and art. This proves this was a society that wasn't just getting by. They were truly thriving, creating, and dreaming in ways that still just astound us today.
So the Bronze Age created these powerful city-states and kingdoms, but the next big technological leap forward, well, it would change the balance of power completely.
And that leap was iron. See, here's the thing about bronze. One of its key ingredients, tin, is pretty rare. That made bronze really expensive. It was a metal for kings and their armies, for the elite. But iron ore? It's one of the most common elements on Earth. Once people figured out the trick to forging it, which needed much hotter fires, it basically democratized metal. It was cheaper, it was way more accessible, and suddenly it was available to the masses. And what happens when suddenly everyone can get their hands on strong, cheap metal? Boom, you get a power explosion. With access to better tools and weapons, brand new and powerful civilizations rose up all across the plateau. The land wasn't dominated by just one or two major players anymore. It became this vibrant, competitive mosaic of different kingdoms. And all of them were setting the stage for what was coming next. All of these incredible developments, from the very first stone tools to the invention of farming, from the discovery of bronze to the revolution of iron, all of this took place over 100,000 years. These were the slow, steady, foundational steps that built the complex societies, the trade routes, and the technologies that would make what came next even possible. The stage was finally set for the Age of Empires.
So the next time you think about the history of Iran, don't just start with Cyrus the Great. Remember the 100,000 years of hunters, farmers, potters, and metalworkers who came before him? Remember the forgotten cities and all the anonymous innovators who laid the groundwork. Because that is where this incredible story truly begins.